If somebody can look me in the eyes and explain to me how an Illinois team that got beat 63-10 is still in the top 25, and then Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You're 1-2. You shouldn't have been ranked in the poll last week. And let's be honest, you scored 56 against Purdue, but you also gave up 30. What is up, fellow Booster Club members? Thank you for joining us on another edition of Crain & Company. It's Monday. All right, so you know what you're getting. We already put out a video reacting to the SEC annual opponents, a little bit of extra appetizer for you on this Monday, but it's a Crain & Company Power Ranking Monday, and also we're going to point and laugh at the fat kid of college football, which is the Associated Press poll, or the AP poll. But boys, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn to my left, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain to my right. We got some fluctuation, including a new number one. Number one has not budged for us yet until now. We've got some other movement, and I want people to understand this is a snapshot of where we're at in college football. We're not necessarily saying where we think these are where we think the teams are going to finish. This is where we have them right now. That's why you see a little bit more fluctuation in these rankings as compared to some of the ones we do in the preseason and that we've done in the past.
Perfect list.
I think it's perfect.
It's the perfect.
I actually think this is perfect.
And if you disagree, to be honest with you, you're just wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong. But if you do disagree in the comments, let us know where you disagree and why you disagree, because dissent moves us forward. It's a conversation, even though we know at the end of the day, we're right. I want to start with the honorable mentions here, because one of the honorable mentions was ranked last week. They didn't do anything wrong. They handled business against Temple, but that still gives us the right to move you back, right, when you look at the rest of what's going on. That's Georgia Tech, who was 15 last week. They're right there, right in the others receiving votes category, if you want to put. We also have Ole Miss there. We also have Bama there. And we also have Iowa State there. Iowa State has made an appearance in this rankings. We're still feeling them out after the way that Kansas State's looked, but we're going to find out here shortly. So those are the honorable mentions. But to start off at 15, and they actually moved down to where we had them last week, is Vanderbilt. Now, we've talked ad nauseum about Diego Pavia and Clark Lee and how good this team is. They're going to play Utah State next, and then they have a little bit of a gauntlet ahead of them. We're really going to get to find out about Vanderbilt. And guys, the attrition part, the depth part of Vandy is where I think they could have a difference this year as opposed to last year, because when the injuries, the inevitable ones, started to pile up a little bit, Vandy kind of fell off a cliff. Coney, I'll start with you. You like Vandy at 15 here, us keeping them in. You got the nice win on the road against South Carolina. I think this is a good spot for them.
So a couple things here on the Georgia Tech point. I don't even think about it as moving them down, but jumping other teams up. Like Indiana, the way you perform, like you got to jump up. Texas Tech, there's some teams obviously we're going to get to. And then the Ole Miss and Alabama. Guess what? This week you get to make your case. Both of them. Ole Miss playing LSU, Alabama and Georgia obviously playing this week. On the Vanderbilt point, I mean, look, you're 4-0. You're going to be 5-0. I don't see them losing to Utah State at home. They got the revenge win over Georgia State.
Best bet on the board.
70-21. But more than just the attrition and the injuries that may pile up or reveal a lack of depth or better depth this year, it's the schedule that's going to intensify. So let's just say they start 5-0 with a win over Utah State. No disrespect to them, but let's just hypothetically say they do start 5-0. Then it's at Alabama, it's LSU at home, it's Missouri at home, it's at Texas, it's Auburn at home, it's Kentucky at home, and it's at Tennessee.
I mean, the Kentucky game's the only time you have to can take a breath of fresh air, but if you're Vandy, I don't think you can even do that with Kentucky.
It's intense.
Blaine, Vandy, how you feeling? Dangerous?
Good. No, I think Vandy's the top 15. I think you look at this team, you look at this roster. It's not only Diego Pavia. I mean, they have a legit receiver, legit running back, and that defense flies around to make plays. They'll beat Utah State. God, what they did to Georgia State, it felt purse.
It was purse. That's why I thought Vandy minus 25.5 was stealing.
You dropped a 70 piece, and if you're Vanderbilt, I mean, obviously you play Utah State. You got Georgia and Bama this weekend, and then you go to Bama the next weekend. So is that going to be a Bama team coming off a big win against Georgia, or is that going to be a Bama team that's panicking now after losing against Georgia? So I feel great with Vanderbilt. I think you can make the argument to put them higher.
Yeah, well, we have the Georgia-Bama preview that's been out since last Friday, and we're going to make our picks on Wednesday. You don't want to miss that. But let's move on, but we're staying in state, boys. 14, we're going to go from Nashville to Knoxville. Let's go Tennessee. Had them in the top 15, even though they lost that tight one, missed that field goal there at the end against Georgia. Showed us some things. We've talked offensively about how they were able to run the ball in the box successfully, how well Joey Aguilar's been playing. They beat UAB to death. No shocker there. Decided to kind of keep them where they were at. And they're going to have a chance to continue to move up because they're still in the college football playoff hunt. And if you're a Tennessee fan, I know you play Alabama eventually. I get that. So at the end of the day, does it really matter the way that Georgia and Alabama ends? We'll find out. But I would personally think if I was Tennessee that I would want Georgia to win that game. Again, I think we all believe that Tennessee is better than what we thought. Just can that defensive front seven hold up throughout the rest of the season with the injuries and everything that's gone on with them?
Yeah, and I think if you're a Tennessee fan, if you look at the schedule, you have to be feeling good about a lot of things. You're at Mississippi State, Arkansas at home, at Alabama, a team that you can beat, at Kentucky. And if I'm a Tennessee fan seeing that Oklahoma performance against Auburn at home, I'm feeling better about a lot of things. You have Oklahoma at home, New Mexico State at home, at Florida. They're a disaster. We'll see who's coaching that team by the time that game comes. And obviously Vanderbilt at the end of the year. I'm telling you right now, Tennessee, if they played the level of ball that I know they're capable of with Josh Heupel, I mean, they could walk out of the season with 2 losses.
And 10-2 gets you in.
Look, they're a missed field goal away from being undefeated and probably being in our top 10 right now. Mixed bag when it comes to the schedule. You just rattled off, but there's 2 sides to that, which is one, can you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, which I do think Mississippi State would fall into that category. Kentucky this year falls into that category. Obviously, New Mexico State.
Arkansas.
That alone, Arkansas at home, that alone gets you up to 7 wins on the season. And then can you win any of those statement games? You still got Alabama. I don't care what Alabama looks like in any given season. If you beat them, that's a statement win. Oklahoma this year, you get them in Knoxville, that would be a statement win. And look, even Vanderbilt this year, in-state rivalry, the way they're playing. So can you take care of the games you're supposed to and throw in some statement wins?
All right, the next one. And guys, I'm telling you right now, I think we all agree that Texas has a really, really good roster around Arch Manning. Now, they're coming in at 13. It's still kind of weird to see them at 13 with a lot of the preseason lofty expectations. I had them going 9-3 and sneaking in the playoff because I had Notre Dame not making it. But I'm telling you, man, watching, and some people think we dislike Arch Manning. Nobody here dislikes Arch Manning. We just tried to tell you what was going to happen. Some of you didn't want to listen because it didn't fit your narrative. But Cone, talking to you this weekend, they beat Sam Houston State, handle them easily like they should. Arch flexed on a guy from Sam Houston State. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. What did you think?
Well, it was a little bit weird to me. I said that I've never believed less than in that moment, just because it goes against his character. I love the kid showing confidence, but it kind of goes against what we've seen from a brand perspective from him. And then to do it against Sam Houston State, it's like it'd be one thing if you did that against the Buckeyes in week 1. But here's why I'm a little bit torn on Texas, because one, like you said, they still have some really good players. Steve Sarkisian, only coach in the country that's led his program to the college football playoff the last 2 years. And their only loss right now is by a touchdown on the road against the number 1 team in the country. And since then, they have 3 wins by double-digit points. But those 3 wins are over San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston. Arch Manning didn't come to Texas to beat those teams, right? Like, when we get into the teeth of this schedule, let's really start to analyze, hey, are you there to beat Oklahoma and Red River? Are you there to beat the Georgias of the world when you have to go on the road to Athens in between the hedges? That's what Texas needs to do to accomplish the team goals that undoubtedly they set for themselves.
Yeah, and Blaine, Arch Manning doesn't have to be Batman at this point. He's just got to be a better Robin. He's got to make the routine plays routine. He's got to, from a decision-making standpoint, you got to be on point. I want to believe in this Texas team because I know how talented that roster is overall. But until I see a consistent Arch Manning, offensively, they're going to struggle.
No, sure. I mean, and it's surprising. You got to remember with Arch, anything that he does is going to get amplified by 10x.
Yeah.
Just because of his last name. I don't know why. I mean, this thing has become such a big deal in the Sam Houston State game. I'm used to guys talking shit to no matter what team you play. So it's not a problem with me. I know that the kid needs confidence, right? And maybe it's out of his character. We'll see. But I think Texas, well, we're going to find out. They're on a bye this weekend, then they're on the road at Florida.
Well, I mean, are we going to find out on the road at Florida? Is Billy Napier still going to be
I think this is going to be a lot closer game than the other games Florida has had.
Smells like an under. If I
Oh, for sure. So, I mean, we'll find out with the Arch, but that roster is just so good around him. It just blows my mind. Like, even with all these wins, they haven't looked great. Didn't look great in the San Jose State game, UTEP game, or the Sam Houston game, in my opinion. But we'll see. I mean, there's still plenty of time for him to turn it around technically.
All right, I want to go and throw the next 2 up here because both of these teams are making their debut in our Power Ranking Top 15. Indiana at 12. It is one thing to play well, to beat a quality opponent, to look good. It's another thing to beat somebody's ass to death in a ranked matchup in front of God and everybody. And Indiana, David, made Illinois look like the little giants. Hell, maybe even the New York Giants, they're so bad at this point. But definitely the little Giants. Fernando Mendoza is cooking. Got to start talking Heisman. You got to start putting this guy on a Heisman list.
I'm pretty sure he's leading the odds.
That wouldn't shock. Well, you don't think Mateer's still leading after that?
Give me a 30-second, Coach.
Yeah, you got a 30-second timeout. But this Indiana team, the pass rush, nasty. That's something I don't see a lot of people talking about. The run game, nasty. With Mendoza being able to run the zone read stuff. They got a little bit of everything, and they are playing like Kurt Cignetti acts. And whenever you get that meshing of the players and the coach, most of the time good stuff happens.
This is what I was saying about it this weekend. Kirk Cignetti sets the tone, and their team stays on pitch. But Indiana and Texas Tech both jumping up on this list from two different sides of the spectrum, but did it in similar ways this past weekend. So what I mean is Indiana made the college football playoff a year ago, and they got scrutinized because their schedule wasn't that serious, or you didn't play stiff enough competition. You make the college football playoff, you don't have a good performance. There's no way you can replicate that again. Texas Tech on the other side, okay, there's been this groundswell of NIL money, that oil money in Texas. You're assembling a roster now that you can pay players, but you're probably a year or two away. Both of them proved this weekend against their first toughest test of the year. Texas Tech going on the road, beating Utah by 24 points while your starting quarterback, Baron Mortensen, gets removed from the game from an injury, and you commit 14 penalties, and you still beat a great Utah team that badly. And then Indiana, I mean, I was on the Illinois train, had them in the college football playoff. They were ranked in the top 10 nationally. Indiana beat them, what was the final score?
63 to 10.
At one point, I was like, dude, we get it.
Yeah.
We stop in the game. There's 7 minutes left.
What's that Simpsons meme where it's like, stop beating him, he's already dead?
That's exactly
like
what
Illinois was dead by the second quarter, and you just kept beating. What do they call that, a rage kill?
Now they go on the road and they play Iowa. I don't think this Iowa team is that great. I think Indiana's going to handle them and move to 5-0. Then you go to Oregon.
Yeah.
Then
you're going to find out this year really with it.
I think
And right now, Fernando Mendoza is leading the Heisman odds.
He is.
Plus 800. John
we talked about in the transfer portal how nasty this dude was. Saw him going to Jordan Hare last year at Cal with basically us playing on the offensive line. And I mean, Auburn find ways to choke game and lose games, but found a way to win in Jordan
but look
Hare.
at Texas Tech. I'm pretty sure Texas Tech was ranked number 1 when it comes to the transfer portal.
No,
for hiring as well.
We were waiting to flip the switch on Texas Tech until we saw the physicality. We've seen Texas Tech have guys that can run and being able to put up points, and it's bombs over Baghdad with the vertical ball and things like that. The way that Texas Tech was going to have to elevate was the same way that I think Ole Miss has elevated themselves, and that's the physicality up front. And when you watch Texas Tech going on the road to a Kyle Whittingham coach team that we know is physical, your backup quarterback comes in. I thought he played better than Barron did, to be honest with you, at the end of the day. When you have that type of physicality up front, you are going to win a lot of games in multiple ways. This Texas Tech team is for real. They look like a college football playoff team. And right now, I don't know how you wouldn't have them as the number 1 team in the Big 12. I know Arizona State went on the road and beat Baylor, but I thought they looked pretty damn good. We're going to continue to watch them and see if that physicality can continue. But let's stay out in that area of the country, even though this next team's in the SEC. I've got this as the biggest surprise college football playoff damage-doing type team in Missouri. You beat South Carolina. You rushed for what? Like 230 yards, and you held them to -9 because you sacked Lenora Sellers like 6 times for like 15-yard losses, and that counts in college. But this Missouri team, I'm telling you right now, Ahmad Hardy and Roberts, I think they're the best running back tandem in the country. I think Ahmad Hardy's the best running back in the country. Now, we can talk about Coleman from Washington. There's some other guys out there that we know are really, really talented. Nick Singleton. I mean, hell, Allen's good too from Penn State. But this Missouri team, I think they can beat every team they play. Would I be shocked if Missouri found a way to be undefeated with this schedule? No. I mean, read through it.
You have UMass this weekend.
You're going to beat them.
You have Alabama at home.
That's winnable.
You're at Auburn. Winnable. At Vanderbilt.
Winnable.
Texas A&M at home.
Winnable.
Mississippi State at home. At Oklahoma and at Arkansas.
I mean, who's sitting prettier than Missouri right now?
And that's one thing I love is just the way Missouri's built.
Yeah.
Even with all the flash, I mean, Bo's played great. The 2 backs, Coleman at receiver. Missouri's front 7 is extremely good.
They're playing really good.
They're extremely talented, and I I just love, especially in their interior, what they do. And trust me, South Carolina wanted to run the ball and really couldn't get it going. And you're seeing that case. Even going back to the Kansas game, you gave up 23 points in the first quarter,
and then cut the pipe off.
Then cut it off for the rest of the game. Yeah. So it's not just I'm going to spread it out, throw it down the field. Missouri is a run at you type of team.
Well,
They can hold up and have the depth on the team.
They're a run at your edge type. If you want to watch clinic tape on how to run outside zone, just watch Missouri. Eli Drinkwitz, one of the best in the country at it, so Missouri is there at 10. All right, let's go 9, A&M. All right, A&M did not play this weekend. They're on a bye, of course, because they get Auburn next. Great, amazing, at home. Didn't move them too much. Got another chance to prove it against Auburn and continue to move up. I'm still, David, a little bit on the fence about this A&M team overall. Marcel's been good, wasn't super efficient, but found a way to win up at Notre Dame. It's the defense for A&M that I'm a little concerned about.
Yeah, well, as you should when they gave up 40 points to Notre Dame with a young quarterback in C.J. Carr. But still, I think that that's a quality win that you can hang your hat on anytime you can go to South Bend and get out of there with a victory. Now you're going to host an Auburn team coming off a tough loss. How can you impose your will on a team that you know has some struggles on offense, but all at the same time is going to have their back against the wall? Auburn's got so much to prove. They're going to have so much fight coming in this week. I have a lot of questions still about Texas A&M. I don't know for a fact that they're better than Missouri or even Ole Miss right now, who's in our honorable mentions. But the great news is we get to find out soon.
And probably the best part about making these power rankings is we've made them every week, and I think 1 through 15, you can make logical arguments to move these teams around because the parity is so much. Again, Ole Miss may be better than A&M.
That's one thing for people to remember at home is like the difference between 10 right there with Missouri and honorable mention at Ole Miss is like so small to
for sure.
You know, there's
which makes it so much more fun.
It's such a weird Texas A&M team.
It's
just
team.
Opposite Mike Elko.
You know, they kind of remind me of who LSU's been the last couple years, and it's weird to say that for a Mike Elko coach team on defense. But they just seem like an offensive heavy. We're going to try and bend but not break. Minimize.
The running game's not great.
Not great.
I mean, the defense is not playing great. You're basically just airing the ball out. And Marcel Reed, I mean, you have Craver and Concepcion who are absolute problems. It's just usually you're watching a Mike Elko team's like, we're going to run it down your throat.
Yeah.
We're going to play defense, and that's how we're going to win this game. But
small ball.
Opposite.
You're just watching them play small ball.
Find your way find yourself at number 9.
They went from worrying about bunting guys over to launch angle in like a month. Starting a family, the minute I got married, I knew I needed life insurance, but then when you have a child and you're now responsible for 2 human beings, including one that you created, it's just so important to make sure everybody's protected, and that's where Ethos comes in. They're an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in just minutes, not months. Rather than requiring a medical exam, you simply answer a few straightforward health questions to get started, and within as little as 10 minutes, you'll receive your personalized quote, and if you're ready to move forward, you can secure same-day coverage without ever stepping foot outside your home. Their flexible coverage allows you to protect your family with up to $3 million in coverage, with some policies starting as low as $2 per day when billed monthly. Now, making comprehensive life insurance both accessible and affordable. Again, it's so important that you do this. Over 3 million families have completed their applications and trust Ethos to help find the right coverage. So protect your family with life insurance from Ethos and get a free quote at ethos.com/booster. That's ethos.com/booster. Application times may vary, rates may vary. All right, let's go on. This team I'm not sold on. I'm going to tell you right now, I think they get exposed this weekend. And that's Oregon at 8.
Exposed.
What are your concerns for Oregon?
Stopping the run. And again, I've got as much respect for Dan Lanning as I think he is phenomenal. I think he's great for college football. It's just when I have watched Oregon, including against Northwestern, that front 7 does not jump off the page to me against the run. I think defending the pass, they're athletic enough to do it. I think offensively, Dante Moore is really, really talented. I like DeCorian Moore and the other pieces they have around him. I just don't know if and the beautiful part about them playing Penn State is that we're going to get to find out from a team that is going to try and line up and show you who is daddy in the run game. And if Oregon can shut down Penn State or at least stop them to a certain extent, I will get on the Oregon train with you guys, or with Blaine for sure. I will jump on it. But I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised if by the time we're doing this next week, Oregon is not in the top 15.
So what about on the offensive side of the football? I mean, can they make up for some of the deficiencies that you see on defense by just scoring a lot of points?
Well, that's kind of been their MO in big games under Dan Lanning, which, again, we talked about how that's against type for Mike Elko. It's kind of against type for Dan Lanning, at least what we thought, him being a defensive guy. Some teams, yes, some teams, no. Against Penn State, I don't think so. I don't think they are explosive enough on offense to score enough of the type points in the limited possessions that I think they're going to get because the other team can run the ball. Again, this narrative can totally be flipped. Oregon has not been tested against a team that can truly run it. I thought Northwestern was able to, I know they had the one big run, not that they just ran all over Oregon, but just watching it, knowing who Oregon is playing, I'm a little bit nervous about Oregon's ability to stop the run, which you're not going to win a national championship or win the Big Ten if you cannot stop the run.
You don't share those concerns?
Well, if there's anything I will bet on is that Oregon will be able to put up points against Penn State. It kind of reminds me of the Oregon team last year. You got to think of the playoffs team.
With Jim Knowles at DC, though?
With the with the teams that they played that made the playoffs last year, each team scored 30 points against them. But, I mean, the Oregon offense showed up. I think it'll be the same thing this year. I think Penn State will be able to run the ball against Oregon, but I do think Dante Moore and the talent that they have, they're going to put up points against this Penn State defense. This game's not going to be a blowout to me. I mean, 10 points max. Last time I looked at it, I was sitting at plus 3.5 right now for Oregon. I think Dante Moore's that talented, but I do share the same worries as you, especially with a Penn State team that wants to get downhill at you, right? That's what Penn State will want to do, but I think Oregon at 8 is fine.
All right, let's move on. 7, Oklahoma.
Okay.
You beat Auburn. Again, we did the reaction. We did the recap. We can talk about the officials. They were terrible. But at the end of the day, Oklahoma, when they were down a point with 6 minutes to go, John Mateer leads his team down the field to score a touchdown to give them the lead when it mattered the most, which showed me that Oklahoma does have that dog in them. You got 10 sacks, okay? We can talk about how you count the sacks, whose fault it was that gave up the sack, whether it's the quarterback holding on too long, whether it's the offensive line screwing up in protection. This Oklahoma team, if there is a concern, and Blaine, I want to start with you on this one, it's that offensive line a little bit.
Can't run the ball.
Right? They've struggled to consistently be able to run the ball. I know Mateer can get you out of some things, but if this Oklahoma team is going to win a national championship or put themselves in a position to win a national championship, they're going to have to find some semblance of a run game or some way to find an extended handoff through the pass game, in the quick game, whatever. But they've given us no reason to drop them. They're undefeated, and that schedule, again, like we keep saying, David, we're going to find out because Oklahoma's rest of the way is absolutely brutal.
100%. Yeah, and look, you just can't play in this league or really in any league across the country and not have a close game.
For sure.
Right? And that's what the difference makers do on teams is they keep you from going 7-5. Right? Because they make those plays at the end of games like you're talking about. So the fact that Auburn played you close at home is not, that's not some worrying thing to me. I'm looking at the playmakers at the end of the game who said, hey, we'll be the difference makers and keep us undefeated. Now you get Kent State. To me, you're going to remain undefeated. You're going to go 5-0 heading into Red River. And then that is the ultimate litmus test, not just for Oklahoma, but also for Texas. I don't see a scenario where both of those teams make the college football playoff, one with having to face each other, but then the schedules they're each going to have to face the rest of the way.
And and again, I cannot wait to find out the answer to this. Let's go ahead. We got FSU at 6. All right. They absolutely murdered Kent State. I thought 44.5 was stealing. It ended up being that. This FSU team just keeps chugging along. They keep chugging along. They're handling business. Did you see Castellanos got a little banged up in that game, had to come out?
Not surprised.
I think he's fine. Whether it was an ankle, he got hit weird in the leg. They were able to handle business and just murdered Kent State. We're going to keep them at 6. This FSU team, they look good, man.
They do. And I guess they have Virginia this weekend. I guess Virginia's a lot better than what they used to be because right now this spread started, I think, 10.5, and it's sitting at 7.5.
And that's at Virginia.
Now, and it's at Virginia. The over-under is 58.5. I'm pretty sure Virginia just pants Stanford in front of God and everybody. But,
Stanford's
it's the over 58.5, maybe the over. But Florida State right now, -7.5 against Virginia.
Y'all won't bet that down to 6.5.
Do they know something about Castellanos that we don't know?
See, that's what worries me. But when this spread came out even before they played games on Saturday, I saw it, and it was 10.5.
Yeah, it was 10.5, and I saw when it was 9.5. It's got bet down to all the way to -7.5. So as a team who's sitting at number 6 right now in our top 15, to go to at Virginia, only sitting basically a touchdown, it sounds like a lot of people, especially on the Vegas side.
Any worry with the look ahead to Miami? I mean,
maybe
Florida
that's
State's going to host Miami and Tallahassee on October 4th.
I just don't know if you can do that if you won 2 games last year.
That's a great
right? Like, why would you look ahead of anybody?
Yeah. Hell, you might as well just look down at that point. All right, let's go to 5. Penn State. Okay, here we go. 5 plays 8 in our ranking this weekend. At home, they've been able to, it hasn't been beautiful for Penn State, if we're going to be honest. It's not like they're going out there just looking clean or look the way that FSU looked against Kent State. But Penn State finds ways to win games. We know they're able to run it. The question becomes, can Drew Aller throw them to wins if the run game is not there? I think the run game will be at Oregon, but this Penn State team has experience. David, you played in the Big Ten. We all know the story for Penn State. They handle business against everybody they're supposed to handle business against, but when they play some of the big dogs, they're not able to find a way. You have them winning the national championship, so I know you probably feel pretty good about them being at 5, and they could be even higher.
Yeah, for sure. What an awesome opportunity this weekend for Penn State to send a message to the rest of the country. And look how the schedule has worked out for them. You open with Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. You get to sort of get your feet a little bit wet. You don't open with a game like LSU going to Clemson or Buckeyes hosting Texas. And now you get Oregon at home. So even though you have to go on the road to Columbus this year, that's not your 4th game. You get to have an opponent like Oregon come to your place first. I think the schedule works out favorably for them. Can you send a message against an Oregon team who is high flying, who can put up a bunch of points, who, you faced last year in the Big Ten championship game in a shootout? Can you beat them at your place and tell the rest of the country, actually, we are a serious contender. We're going to play a physical brand of football and send Oregon home with the loss?
Blaine, this is a cushion game to me. Because of what David just brought up with Penn State having to go to Columbus. You beat Oregon at home with the rest of your schedule. This is a cushion game where if there's a 3-way tiebreaker at the end, that head-to-head over Oregon, that win, if you're able to win it, could be massive. And that's what gets you in the Big Ten championship game, because remember, there are no more divisions. There is not an East and a West. There's not a Legends and Losers. There's not a Willy Wonka's in the Chocolate Factory. It is straight up. Everybody has a chance to play. Anybody can play anybody in the Big Ten championship game. It's a huge cushion game. Penn State, you buying?
Just against Oregon or in general?
Well, we got the full Oregon-Penn State preview. We didn't make our picks, but
just the talent they have in that roster.
As a different Penn State in big games than what we've seen.
No.
Not yet?
No. Why would I? I mean, the same guy's a quarterback. And look, it's not like I have a personal vendetta against Drew Aller, but at the end of the day, with this roster, Penn State should beat a team like Oregon with a brand new quarterback, a lot of brand new things, especially with the way they're built. They're running downhill. But my thing is, if Penn State loses this game, how far do they drop? You beat Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. You've beaten nobody. The first team you're really going to play is Oregon. Mm-hmm. Then you're at UCLA, Northwestern at home, and at Iowa. So if you lose this game, does Penn State still sit in the top
I think it depends on how you lose it.
You lose this game by 10.
Oh, you lose it by 10, you got to fall.
How far do you fall?
I know we got to look at the context of what everybody else does. That's an impossible question for me to answer. But yes, you would fall. Probably, I would think, maybe out of the top 10. Maybe not out of the top 15, probably not out of the top 15, but if it's a close, crazy game, this, that, or the other, like we've seen with Penn State and Oregon before, who knows? All right, for Georgia, got Bama.
Yep.
Got Bama, who's right on the outside here. We're going to see, can that defense be better? Got torched by Tennessee. You got to give credit to Tennessee. This does not look like a normal Georgia defense. And that was really implemented or imprinted in my mind when I watched Jordan Davis's humongous ass run 19 miles per hour for a touchdown after blocking a field goal for the Eagles the other day. I don't see or have not seen that type of difference maker for Georgia up front. And we're going to see if Alabama can take advantage of it. But they still won the game at Tennessee, and Gunnar Stockton proved himself. Seat at the table, got it when he had to have it the most.
So awesome we get this game in Athens. We've gotten it so many times over the course of the last decade in Atlanta for the SEC championship game. Last year in Tuscaloosa, we were there. First game post Nick Saban for this rivalry. Alabama still gets the win. Georgia now gets them at home, gets a chance to get over that Alabama hump. Alabama, on the flip side of that, gets a chance to show the nation that the product they put out on the field against Florida State is not who they really are. So a bunch at stake for both teams. And keep in mind, you're still undefeated in conference play. Right, so in terms of moving forward to get to Atlanta and win the SEC championship game, a huge one here in Athens.
Blaine, you trust this Georgia defense? Because if anybody can fix it, it's Kirby Smart.
It's an offensive team. Long as Kirby Smart's the head coach of Georgia, I'm always going to trust Georgia defense. And look, I know you don't have Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis out there, but I do think what Tennessee does is it's so low. It makes everything so individual on defense. I think this Georgia team will bounce back against Alabama. I don't think Bama's going to put up 40 points or anything Tennessee did. But my thing is, if Georgia does beat Bama, this game is going to be a blackout. at Georgia. I don't know if it ever ggets any bigger than this. The fact that game day is not going in this game, that's a conversation later. I think Georgia, if they do win this game, is a real conversation of putting at number one.
I feel like the camera that's going to go into the stadium that they show you right before kickoff, it's going to be similar to on Lord of the Rings when you got that bird's eye view of the first time of Mordor.
Yeah.
And they're just like in the mud and there's fires and just anger.
Just the slate this weekend. If you have a wedding, don't go.
Don't go. Even if it's yours.
Don't go.
Don't go.
Y'all aren't really friends.
Yeah, change it. All right, 3, LSU. Woo! Woo-hoo-hoo. A lot of people getting a little nervous about LSU after watching Clemson continue to just fall down like a drunk at 2 a.m. God, Blaine, I'm going to start with you. You're at Ole Miss this weekend. I think the offense for LSU is going to have to start showing up. I don't know if you're going to, and I know Blake Baker's done an amazing job. He's got really good personnel. It seems that identity has started to take over. But with Trinidad Chambliss going to Oxford, this LSU offense is going to have to start finding ways to be a little bit more explosive in some of these games. I don't think this is going to be a 17-10 type game. You're going to have to find ways to score. LSU, we moved them back from 2 to 3. We'll show you why in a second. How are you feeling?
I feel great because of what LSU's defense is. Like I don't think people are talking about how good LSU's team. What's the most points they've given up? 10.
Oh no, they're nice
this year. And I think the difference with this LSU team is you can turn around and run the ball. And what Ole Miss defense is going to show up is the Ole Miss defense against Tulane, or is it the Ole Miss defense against Arkansas that was getting absolutely ran through? I think LSU's defense is the difference in this team this year. That's why some people are still skeptical, like, oh, LSU, we don't know. LSU on both sides of the ball is legitimate on every single level. I like LSU in this game. I still think they're the best team in the country.
I mean, Cone, we can talk about Ole Miss's defense, and I get it. I wonder if not having a super mobile quarterback could be a little bit of a difference, obviously, in defending LSU as opposed to defending Arkansas. Tulane had a mobile quarterback in Retzlaff. It's just up front. They're not going to be able to do the type things that LSU is going to be able to do. How do you feel about this LSU team now compared to the instant after they beat Clemson in week 1? I mean, where are you at on it?
If I'm LSU, I'm not giving a second thought to the way Clemson has fallen off a cliff. Actually, I would own it and say we're the reason Clemson fell off a cliff. We broke Clemson. Now look at them. And we're going to do it across the landscape of the rest of this country. Whether that's true or not, who knows? Who cares? Yeah. It's not even quantifiable. But if I'm an LSU fan, that's what I'm saying. If I'm in that LSU locker room, that's what I'm saying. We broke them. The thing I'm looking for is you better run the football against Ole Miss. As great as they've looked, there's one area, and that's the amount of rushing yards that Ole Miss is giving up on defense. The fewest yards they've given up is 172, and that was to Kentucky. And so far, LSU's rushed for over 100 yards in every game they've played, which was a question mark we had coming into the season. You better run the football, and I don't think they need a mobile quarterback to do that. Obviously, it can help, but Garrett Nussmeier can be a precision passer. Sometimes he can be a gunslinger that puts the football in harm's way. Be a precision passer, make good decisions, let the running backs run, take advantage of that Ole Miss defense, and chew the clock so that Lane Kiffin's offense is not out there with him calling plays.
100%. All right, this team has been number 1 for us the whole time until now. And you know what? It's not their fault. It's not their fault. Because we're going to show you who number 1 is, you could probably guess. But number 2 is Ohio State. And they're going to get their chance to continue to show it. But after that Texas win, kind of been pushed to the back burner a little bit because you haven't played a crazy schedule after that. Even against Ohio, you didn't look amazing. You ended up pulling away. This Ohio State team is really, really good. You can make a great argument for them to still be number 1 in the country. But we have them at number 2. David, I'm going to go back to you, being a guy that played in the Big Ten. I mean, has anything about the way you feel about Ohio State changed since you've seen Texas kind of struggle a little bit with teams they should have murdered, or no?
Not really. It was an incredible victory week 1 when both programs are still feeling themselves out and you still got a young quarterback and you went out and got the victory. To be honest, if I'm a Buckeyes fan, I'm fine getting moved back to 2 in some of these polls. Let's face a little bit of adversity because we're not really facing it on the football field, and that just speaks to how well they reload constantly with that program. But you got Washington. You're going to go on the road to Washington, and that is a game where if the Buckeyes can go on the road and win the way they've been beating some of these other teams, that I think is going to send a statement. But right now, I'm not worried about them at all. And again, I don't even think about as moving them back as much as Miami must get rewarded for some of the victories that they've had thus far in the season.
Blaine, and Miami's one going to get to them because, I just love watching them play football. But with Ohio State, what's going to be great is now you are going to be tested against a legitimate offense in Washington with Damon Williams, with Jonah Coleman, who I think may be the most underrated offensive player in the country, Denzel Boston, and an offense that will test you defensively.
And at their place.
And at their place.
This is going to be
your first time leaving home.
First road test.
It will, but Washington's defense isn't great. I've watched, remember, I got Washington going 10-2. I had them losing this game preseason. I actually kind of feel a little bit better about Washington winning than I did in the preseason. But this defense, I think Ohio State, Julian Sain's going to have some things available, obviously with Jeremiah, with Carnell, with the running back group that they have with Donaldson. I actually feel like this game may be a little bit more high scoring than what people are going to think.
Which I think favors the Buckeyes.
It does favor the Buckeyes.
They get the shootout.
It does favor
Last year, Oregon,
-13.5
Oregon
right
found a way over on the West Coast a year ago to beat them. But usually if you see a team beat the Buckeyes like that, it's more like the Michigan flavor a year ago.
Or the Texas game.
Where they make it ugly,
right?
you know.
Like ugly, nasty, low scoring, I agree. But number one, and I don't know how you say they don't have the best resume in the country with Miami. You beat Notre Dame. You beat South Florida, which you can make an argument. South Florida should be in honorable mention. I can understand that argument, but we can't put everybody in here. Then you handle a Florida team that you want to talk about back against the wall. This is probably it for Billy Napier. This is the win one for the Gipper. You really control. On the line of scrimmage, Miami is so good. So good. Their backs run hard and they're heavy-shouldered. Carson Beck has time to throw the ball. Florida's defense played their ass off. Make no mistake about it. But Miami, eventually, it's like gravity. They just lean on you and lean on you and lean on you, and eventually below break cage, and he get this. And that's what happened in the second half. I think Miami, David, actually, Blaine, I'll go to you on this one. I think Miami so far looks like the best team in the country when you not only look at resume, but when you actually watch the games and look at how balanced this team is. And your field goal kicker is balling. And that was a question you had going into it. You've got the triple threat. Miami looks nice, and they get Florida State.
Well, yeah, and you've proven it against real talent.
For sure.
Right? And that's the thing about it. And if you look at this Miami team, like, I just don't know if there's a box there that they don't check. Quarterback, check. I mean, you have two legitimate backs in Fletcher and Brown. You have two legitimate receivers. Any Mario Cristobal coach team on the offensive line is going to be good, and they're one of the best in the country. Defense, I mean, Reuben Bain Jr., you can argue should be the first edge guy coming off the board.
Yeah.
And you look at Mesador, absolute dog. The secondary, every time I watch Miami play, there's a tackle, there's 9 guys around the ball.
And they're hitting.
They could stop the run. They can run the ball. Carson Beck right now could win the Heisman. You check every single box. If I have to look at a team right now in the country and say, well, they could be the national champions or they should be the national champion, it's Miami.
Well, again, so why we have him here, I agree with you. But David, like, it's one thing to have one win against quality competition that we know. There's multiple teams on this board that have done that. We can go through it. FSU, Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas Tech, Indiana, whatever, A&M. But Miami is one of the few teams that has multiple instances of it.
Yep.
And that, to me, is kind of what separates them and why they should be number one.
And that's where you could beg the question, what's a better look? To have one win over the best teams in the country, or to have 3 wins over some good teams? Like, Notre Dame is a good team to me. I mean, you have a quality win over South Florida and Florida. At some point, it starts to accumulate, right? But to me, it's more than just about a week 4 and you played a couple opponents. It's about the longevity moving forward. Carson Beck looks not only healthy, recovering from injury, but focused on football.
Yeah.
That was a bigger thing for me. Like, how distracted is he? Is this all just a money play, leaving Georgia to go to Miami for the NIL play, and you're down there in South Beach? He looks focused on football. They seem to be, rejuvenated from everyone talking about the lack of defensive effort from a year ago. They got that side of the ball figured out. And here's another thing, man. You get a bye week before you go to Tallahassee.
Huge.
You get a bye week before you go play Florida State in a top 10 in-state matchup with 2 programs who were really cream of the crop when I was growing up, have fallen off in different ways throughout the last decade and a half. You get to go send a statement in Doak Campbell.
De facto, hey, here's your spot in the ACC championship game to me.
Then we get into the conversation. Miami seriously could go undefeated.
Yeah.
Like this year. If they beat Florida State, you have Louisville at home, Stanford at home, at SMU, Syracuse at home, NC State at home, at Virginia Tech, and at Pittsburgh.
Like, you're going
you win this.
Hey, look, Syracuse just popping up, just beating people.
It is, but like now that Angeli, that Achilles,
that's
he was
leading the nation in passing Again, picking up right where Kyle McCord led off before that injury.
How long has Fran Brown stayed at Syracuse?
I don't know, but he's got it dialed in.
You want to talk about Florida? Talk about guys that Florida may hire.
Florida.
Like, I don't think that'd be
fit.
Oh, God. They'd be killing people. All right. So let us know in the comments, where do you agree, where do you disagree on our power rankings? But we could not end this episode before we looked at the AP poll and what these clowns are attempting to do again this week. I will say, and you can see it on the screen, if you're on audio, I can rattle the top 25 off to you, but I'll go ahead and tell you, honestly, the top 15, I really don't have a huge problem with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of similarities in their top 15, but as usual, where this thing starts to come off the rails is in the back end. If somebody can look me in the eyes and explain to me how an Illinois team that got beat 63-10, I don't care where the game was being played, I don't care who the game was being played against, you got beat like Bethune-Cookman gets beat in their money-making games. How Illinois is still in the top 25 while Auburn, and you can call it bias wherever you want, I just think it's common sense, goes on the road and loses in a controversial fashion to the team you have ranked 7th by a touchdown, gets dropped all the way out of the top 25, makes absolutely no sense to me. And then Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You're 1-2. Yeah, you shouldn't have been ranked in the poll last week. And let's be honest, you scored 56 against Purdue, but you also gave up 30, right? So those two to me, it's shockingly bad. I'm just waiting to hear that girl who ranked South Florida behind Florida after they went on the road and beat Florida to come out and try and explain to me so I can become more stupid as a person.
I'm actually trying not to hear her analysis of the situation. But yeah, those were the two to me as well. And look, like I said about Notre Dame last week, you could find yourself in a situation where you're the 3rd best team in the country, but your 2 losses are to number 1 and number 2. What do you do with a team like that? Punish them to where they're completely out of the top 25, or still have them where you think they go? It's just, to me, you can't be 0-2 and still be in the top 25 the way that they had played. And then you got to do more than just beat Purdue. But the Illinois one, I mean, if you're losing 63-10 to almost
come on, man.
Where's USF?
To anyone.
Yeah. You got beat by 37 by the number 2 team in the country, and you're not sitting in the top 25 with wins over Florida and Boise State.
Brand punishment.
Right. And
100%.
And Illinois' best wins against Duke, and you just got beat by 63 against Indiana. Not only Auburn, but where's USF on that?
Well, what's crazy, too, is they dropped Utah out of this whole thing. They lost by, 24 at home? I get it. You got blown out in the second half. That's not even remotely close to the drowning that Illinois got on the road at Indiana. So those two, to me, are nuts. I'm gonna throw another one out there. Where's Mississippi State?
4-0.
Where's Mississippi State at? You beat Arizona State at home. Now, look, do I think Mississippi State's going to end up a top 25 team at the end of the year? No, but that's not. This is week 5.
When's the last time an SEC team started 4-0 and wasn't ranked in the AP, in the top?
I don't know.
Tell us.
I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, again, it's just, if there was just a couple things that, you're like, all right, well, this is a little bit different or a little bit contradictory. It's insane to me the way they allow, there's no identity for the AP poll on exactly what they're trying to get to. And that's why I think it's just way, way, way out of control. And it's just annoying complaining about it all the time, but we kind of have to because it's our job. I'm going to be honest with you too, Missouri at 20. Well, why is Iowa State in front of Missouri? Why is Vandy in front of Missouri? If we're going to be honest. So, again, I want to know in the comments, what's your biggest grievance with the AP poll? I'm sure I can probably guess. And I would love for somebody in the comments to try and explain to me why Illinois is still in the top 25 and behind Notre Dame in the top 25. That's 1 and 2. It just makes no sense. But what does make sense is for you to subscribe to Crain & Company. Got some more great content coming out this week. Tim Brando is going to join us. We still have our college football playoff rankings. We still have our picks we're going to make and a ton more. So make sure you're locked in and like the chances of me not disliking pretty much 70% of the people that vote on the AP poll. We're going. Oh, gone. On audio, that was me reaching and catching the card.